Hi, my name is Muthu Balasubramanian. This presentation is about law and the entrepreneur. This presentation covers definition of entrepreneur, law versus ethics, some essential business laws. Also, it covers ethics issues in observing essential business laws, final thoughts, and references. Entrepreneur is someone who exercises initiative to take benefit of an opportunity by organizing a venture and as the decision maker decides what, how, and how much of a good or service will be produced. The entrepreneur is a risk taker and a decision maker. As a risk taker, an entrepreneur supplies risk capital and monitors and controls the business activities. Entrepreneurs, an entrepreneur can be a sole proprietor, partner, or can be a major shareholder in an incorporated venture such as C corporation or S corporation, etc. Law dictates what one must or must not do. It comes with explicit penalties for infractions and a formal enforcement system. In democracies, laws are created by democratically elected legislatures. Ethics can be defined as a set of principles prescribing a behavioral code that explains what is good or bad, right or wrong. Ethics may outline moral duty and obligations, and ethics suggests what one should or should not do according to principles or norms of conduct. Ethics provide the basic rule or parameters for conducting any activity in an acceptable manner. The enforcement mechanism for ethics are usually informal, may be complex, or even unconscious. Many businesses develop their own codes of ethics. These codes outline what employees to do in order to carry out what the company sees as the right thing to do in various circumstances. Law versus ethics. There is a difference between law and ethics. Uh, Ethics is a superset of law. The law provides boundaries for defining what activities are illegal. However, it does not necessarily outline what is ethical. Legal requirements tend to be negative, that is, legal requirements or laws forbid certain acts, the bad acts, whereas ethics tend to be positive, that is, it encourages good acts. Legal requirements usually lag behind the acceptable moral standards of society. As I mentioned earlier, ethics or laws are a subset of ethics. Some of the essential business laws include employment laws, consumer protection laws, intellectual property laws, tax laws, and bankruptcy laws. I'll also cover some of the ethics issues involved in observing these laws. First, employment laws. These laws include laws regarding hiring and firing of employees, as well as overtime pay, child labor, disability, worker compensation, unemployment, employee rights, employee safety, and discrimination. In the scope of employment laws, the job discrimination is one section. Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits employers from discriminating in hiring, firing, or pay based on a person's race, religion, sex, or national origin. It also prohibits sexual harassment. The next section in employment law is age discrimination. The Age Discrimination in Employment Act says employers cannot discriminate in any way against applicants or employees older than 40 because of their age. The ethics issue that I could cite here is in 2013, 21,396 age discrimination claims were recorded. That's a 35% increase since 1997. Despite law, age discrimination is going up. So ethics has to be nurtured in the corporate culture. This is one reason why we should do it. In my view, systematically avoid following laws is unethical. So that is why I cited the above as an ethics issue. Gender pay differences is next section in employment law. The Equal Pay Act says employers can't pay female employees less than male employees for equal work on jobs that require equal skill, effort, and responsibility. The ethics issue that I could cite here is in 2015, women working full-time in United States typically were paid just 80% of what men were paid. So that's a gap of 40%. Immigration is next section of employment laws. The Immigration Reform and Control Act makes it illegal to hire and employ illegal aliens. Employers must verify identification and workplace eligibility for all hires by completing I-9 forms. Ethics issue that I could cite: in 2005, Walmart employed illegal immigrants as janitors. Eventually, the company settled for 11 million and agreed to create internal program to ensure future compliance with immigration laws. Overtime and minimum wages. The Fair Labor Standards Act is the nation's main wage law. It sets the federal minimum wage and require time and a half overtime pay for hourly employees who work more than 40 hours in a work week. Healthcare, the next one is healthcare employer mandate. According to Affordable Care Act, or also known as Obamacare, employers with more than 50 full-time employees will have to offer health insurance that covers at least 60% of the healthcare expenses. So the ethical issue that I could cite here is some employers are cutting part-time employee hours to below 30 hours a week to avoid them being counted as full-timers to escape from the healthcare mandate. Tax laws is second in the business laws in this presentation. Tax laws include laws pertaining to the filing of tax returns and payment of sales tax, withholding taxes, corporate taxes, pass-through taxes, etc. Tax evasions and tax avoidance are not the same. By definition, tax evasion involves breaking the law, while tax avoidance supposedly doesn't, though it does involve getting around the spirit of the law. Ethics issue here is avoiding tax may be legal, but it can never be ethical. Examples include parking business profits in offshore tax havens. Consumer protection laws. Consumer protection laws are a form of government regulation that aim to protect the rights of consumers. And in that, product safety laws and product liability are the laws that protect consumers. The safety law, Consumer Product Safety Act requires products to meet various safety standards, and it protects consumers by regulating potentially dangerous products such as toys painted with lead paint. And on the product liability, most consumer protection statutes related to product safety are aimed at preventing injuries from occurring. If a consumer is injured by a defective product, the common law doctrine of products liability allows them to sue for damages. Antitrust laws are part of consumer protection law. The antitrust laws are designed to protect competition from competition for the benefit of the consumers. The idea is that competitive rivalry between firms leads to better outcomes for consumers in the form of lower prices, higher quality, more innovation, and greater product diversity. Price gouging is part of consumer protection laws that is covered, and price gouging means charging too much for a product. To cite an ethics issue, EpiPen, a monopoly on injector device, instantly reverses life-threatening reactions to peanuts, bee stings, and other allergens. Mylan, the maker of EpiPen, has increased its price from $300 to $600 within 2 years. Obviously, this creates a financial and health crisis for poor families and those whose insurance may not cover the EpiPen. Next is intellectual property laws. These laws are related to ownership of intellectual property such as inventions, trademarks, patents, and copyrights. The purpose of intellectual property laws are to encourage new technologies, artistic expressions, and inventions while promoting economic growth. A U.S. patent a U.S. utility patent is generally granted for 20 years. A design patent is generally granted protection for 14 years. Copyrights last for 70 years after the death of the author. Cite an ethics issue. In the patent protecting efforts, Monsanto's seed police keeps harassing U.S. farmers. That is, Monsanto seeds are inorganic, while some U.S. farmers use organic seeds in their farms, and their farms are polluted from the neighboring farms that use Monsanto's inorganic seeds or genetically engineered seeds. In this case, the farmers that use organic seeds are innocent, but still Monsanto goes after them and harasses them. So that's an uh, ethics issue here. Next is bankruptcy laws. Bankruptcy is legal system's remedy for debts beyond the ability of the person or firm that owes money to pay. It is governed by federal law found in Title 11 of the United States Code. Bankruptcy has an ethical purpose as it preserves the firm, saves many jobs, and provides some payments to stakeholders. Bankruptcy is an ethical option if a firm honestly is not able to meet its financial obligations. Second ethics issue here. Bankruptcy can be questionable when a firm could meet its financial obligations, but its manager decides that it would be too costly or too difficult to do so. While many of these bankruptcies are ethically acceptable, bankruptcy under these conditions can more readily violate shareholders' human and property rights. Some final thoughts. Entrepreneurs must know and obey the business laws to avoid legal consequences as well as to be good citizens. Furthermore, they should conduct themselves with ethics. Doing so prevents violating laws, improves employee morale, offers competitive advantage, as customers increasingly pay attention to business ethics. A good ethical company, for example of a good ethical company includes Starbucks, for which its consumers have good opinion and good impression. References. Some other references include the ones that are listed here. Thanks for watching the presentation.